Welcome, everyone. I hereby call the meeting of the Faculty Senate of the University of South Carolina. So our first order of business is to approve the minutes or volunteer any corrections. Hearing no objection, we'll accept the minutes. The second order of business is not awards. This is our election of the next chair of the Faculty Senate. You've met him before, as he presented last meeting. That's Wayne Outen from the chemistry department. So we've distributed the ballots for the election in a face-to-face meeting. It has to be an anonymous paper ballot. So if you will write yes or no, or you could say yay or nay. Please do so, and we will have those collected by our parliamentarian, our Senate, and our Senate Administrative Coordinator. So they'll be circulating around and picking those up. Our senators from Palmetto College and the Greenville School of Medicine, you can vote via chat, and our administrative coordinator will record your votes. Oh. This is really 20th century. It's kind of novel and fun, isn't it? For our latecomers, we are doing a paper ballot for the election of our Faculty Senate chair. So we're distributing little cards for you to write yes or no on. If you recall, our candidate, we have a single candidate, and that is Wayne Outen. Pen? All right, so our secretary, parliamentarian, and administrative coordinator will be collecting your ballots. And I think while that is going on and those are being tallied, we can continue on with the agenda. We do not have any invited guests today, so I will turn it over to our president, Michael Emeritus.
Good afternoon, everyone. If you're wondering what happened to me and why I'm there, like I'm in the corner for punishment, I haven't gotten the chair upset. Two members for transparency, right? Two members of my staff have tested positive in the last 24 hours. I'm negative as of this morning, but that's why I'm putting the mask and that's why I'm staying away from you, and I'm going to walk out of the room as soon as you tell me that you're good to go. It's getting difficult. I was expecting a different kind of meeting the first time that I came here. Well, I was out of town in the first meeting of the Senate. Now the second meeting of the Senate, I'm wearing this thing on, but I'm glad to be back anyway, regardless of the conditions, and I'm glad to be back in this body. I've spent a lot of time having discussions with the predecessors at different Senates 7 years ago. The one thing that remains constant is, first of all, the commitment to shared governance, and then the second part, the use of the law school, because it was in the old law school auditorium and now it's in this auditorium, which I think is appropriate for a Senate to meet in an auditorium of the law school. I want to give you a short report of what has happened in the first 3 months that I have been in the position of the president. It's almost 100 days, by the way, and I don't view this as a mark. This is more of a political gimmick. What do you do in the first 100 days? Because this job and the path that we will walk down together is a long one. It's a marathon. It's not the first 100 days. But at least I want you to know what has been happening. In the first 6 weeks that I was here, I started on July 1st and until August 15th, as you know, the campus is empty. There's nobody here. So that gave me the opportunity to be outside of Columbia and outside of the university, reached out to elected officials, reached out to business leaders across the state, met with alumni groups. I've spoken by now, I don't even know how many Rotary clubs, and across the state, talking to people who support us, talking to our alumni who are very much committed to this university. And yes, I was talking to major donors, very major donors. If you want to know, very, very major donors as well, right? And the message that I got consistently from all of them is that, first of all, the support and the love that they have for the university is the same, exactly the same that I knew a number of years ago. They realized that there was turmoil here, but they're outside of the university. They view it with a different perspective. And the message that I got is, let's move forward, right? Whatever it was, let's move forward now and continue to serve the mission of the university and elevating the university to higher levels. Another component that I heard from them, and it's consistent with what I heard on campus as well, is what we need in the leadership positions is experience and also stability for a period of time. And these were the guidelines in hiring the 4 VPs that they were hired over the last 6 months. One interim, Julius Fredrickson, that became permanent, and then the provost, vice president for student affairs, and vice president for development. I was involved in all of them from the day that I was named as the president, working, of course, with Harris during the period that he was president. And what you saw from this, exactly this. I was looking for experience, preferably people who have done the job in the same position and have been successful with it, and also a sense of stability. People that they're coming here to stay and work with us and with me and with the entire community for a period of time. And I'm very happy with the positions that we filled. And by now, all of this problem that was too many interims, actually, it's not an issue anymore for the vice president level. And by the way, I want to thank the interim provosts, and it's more than one because Steve Cutler was for the more recent time, but also Taylor Harding before that. And I want to thank the interims for the development position. It's very difficult to have continuous changes in a position for the staff and for the mission of this division. So Stacy Bradley was the most recent interim vice president for development. Now, once the academic year started, the focus is more on the inside of the environment, inside, and trying, for me, by the way, also inside means the entire system, right? It's not only Columbia, so I'm going to the other institutions as well, but it's an opportunity now to start having dialogues and start understanding what has happened. And I will give you, and where we are right now. One example is the event that we organize with undergraduate students. You may have seen some of the advertising that we were doing, trying to get them there. Imagine Carolina is the name that we gave to it. It's by now, it's almost 3 weeks back. And around 175 students came to that. All of them stayed, by the way, from 11 o'clock until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So asking undergraduates to stay for 5 hours on a Sunday, it's a big ask. And they were engaged. They wanted to talk. They wanted to tell us what they think are the strengths of the university and which are areas that they're potentially problems. They identify them. We had very rich discussions with them. We had external facilitators, so they feel comfortable. For the first hour, they were in a plenary section, so everybody was seeing the same questions and answering the same questions. Right? And by the way, they used their cell phones. They use tablets, capture the information from there, and we have very good raw data from what I saw yesterday. And then they went to small sections of 20 people in each one of them, 20 students, and went more in depth on issues related to instruction, what is happening in the classrooms and what they like and what they don't like in the classroom, wraparound services. Are we providing what they expect to have, right? And where do we do well and where we don't do well? Degree to career questions. Are we helping you to have a career after you graduate from here, and the general climate? We are going to get, for the first time yesterday, no, it was not yesterday, it was the day before. It was Monday afternoon. I got some information and I saw the report that is in a draft stage right now. As soon as I get it, we will release it. I want everybody to see what the students want. And although the sample is small, because if you think about it, 170 students out of a population of around 25,000 undergraduates, right? It's a relatively small sample. But in a sample like this, when you have 60% or 70% agreeing on one issue, you know that this is statistically significant. So the issues that they came up, I can tell you that in terms of the strengths of the university, the words that they used to describe the strengths of the university was opportunity, was the number one. So they view this as a place that they have opportunities to develop, to learn, and community was another word that came up, although there were some dissenting opinions. Isolation was another word that was used by a much smaller group. And when we ask about problems, where can we improve in general on everything? Parking, and I think that the students and the faculty will be in agreement on this. The second one was advising. That is, interesting for me. I didn't expect it. And Wi-Fi, and then many other smaller issues that came with lower numbers, and depending on which bucket, which kind of information that they had. So this is one way to look the perspective of students. By the way, we're going to do exactly the same thing with the graduate students. The issues are going to be, graduate and professional students are going to be some different and some similar. And the graduate school and the provost office will help organize these as well. And then some of you have seen me already in your colleges. I'm going college by college, and the big colleges are breaking them in smaller pieces, having a similar discussion there. And in fact, the provost is following me, having the same discussion, but with much smaller groups, from what I understand. She has a little bit more time in her hands than I do, and having exactly the same discussions, but in a smaller environment where it can be more rich, the discussion. The idea of all of this is, the reason that we are doing it is because I think it's important through these processes to define strategic priorities. And I can see a number of you thinking, well, we have a strategic plan. We spent a lot of time putting it together a couple of years ago. I have heard the term in some colleges that they're talking about strategic fatigue in terms of trying to put this together. So what are you doing right now? Are you going to ignore this plan and do something different or not? Well, the strategic plan that I have read, by the way, not studied, but read, because it's too big of a document to study. But when you look at that document, it's very comprehensive. Too comprehensive is what I would describe it as. It's very broad on every operation of the university, so too broad. It's very operational to me. And given the breadth of this document, if you try to implement all of this in one phase, it's impossible. There are too many things that need to be done. There are not the resources to do all of them at the same time, right? So that's what we are trying to do. Take what you have already and many others contributed to, distill out of it what appear to be the top priorities. So for a short period of time, work on these top priorities, 2 to 3 years. And then after that, go back to it and say, okay, what else is remaining here? What else is still relevant or not relevant? And we move forward. So that's an attempt to implement parts of this plan, but defining priorities and not going through the whole path of it, which it's impossible to do it in one shot. Now, that doesn't mean, and I expect that this will be done by the end of the semester. We'll be able to come to you towards the end of the semester with, okay, this is how it can be turned into some things that you will remember. Because if I ask right now, what are the 8 priorities of the strategic plan? I suspect there are going to be 3 or 4 people who will know it and they will answer. And I suspect the majority will not remember which are the 8 priorities that it has. Maybe you will prove me wrong. Maybe you should have a test at some point. Now, I'm not waiting. We're not going to paralyze until we have this and do nothing until we get there, because some of the issues that we are facing right now are very obvious. Right? And I'll give you a couple of examples. Just a couple of weeks ago, we got approval from the board to move ahead with implementation of salary rate changes in a number of the staff members, because a study done by HR was very clearly indicating that in several positions we have fallen below market. We're not competitive anymore. So that's the classification and compensation study that HR has spent a year putting the data together. And the data were very clear that in several classifications we have a problem. And if you wonder what are these classifications, right, in what areas are we talking, they're broad areas, but among them are admissions, officers, they are advising, development has a compression problem, even HR itself has a significant number of openings that they cannot hire because of their salaries being too low. Right? So all of this was adjusted or will be adjusted. It was presented, approved, and it will be adjusted to move the salary ranges up for a number of classifications, right? And will be implemented as of January 1st, because it takes some time to be able to do all of this work. Reclassify people as needed, move up their salaries, and get us to a point that we are more competitive in being able to hire staff. At the same time, we told the board and they agreed that we want to raise the minimum wage from $12 to $14. And I know that you issued some kind of a, I don't remember, what was it, an announcement or resolution, right? To go to 15, right? We have gone from 10 to 12 1 year, 12 to 14 right now. That's not the end. We have to be careful about the finances. But that was important as well, right? To move from 12 to 14 because we were not competitive there either. So you cannot expect to have excellence and commitment from our staff members if you're not paying competitive wages. And that will cost us to the order of around 5 million in recurring funds every year, but it was necessary to do it in order, first of all, to maintain our staff. Right? One of the troubling statistics that I saw during the study of HR is that our turnover ratio by now, which used to be in the low single digits, is in double digits, and in some areas exceeds 15%. So if you have to rehire 15% of your staff every year, as you can imagine, there's no time to do anything else. Right? And that shows you, also gives you a message of how attractive we are or we are not. And that's one decision that was made, and we're moving forward with it. We're also making an investment in IT. We provided approximately 10 million into IT. First of all, to continue the program of modernizing the classrooms, which I think, again, the Senate in the past has supported, because there was a 3-year or 4-year program. Only the first year was implemented. It stopped last year. Now they will move ahead and continue with another large number of classes for approximately 3.5 million, and also strengthen the network so we can have high quality Wi-Fi in all of the academic buildings. Because at this point, with the network changes that they were made, the dorms look good and very few academic buildings, but the rest of the academic buildings have problem with connection, and these are classroom buildings as well as office buildings across. There is some of this money also is going to go towards cybersecurity, because that's a threat, that is a concern. And those of you who may be following national media, you have seen that by now some universities have paid ransom in millions because of problems with their cybersecurity system. So that's another one that was an absolute necessity. 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 2 announcements came out from the Vice President of Research. And that's the next component that was obvious to me, was to strengthen our presence, right, and our commitment to research and scholarship. Because we are, after all, a Research One institution. We want to maintain this classification and do want to improve on this classification. So one set of proposals was called to support grants in the arts, humanities, and social sciences. This is a program that has been tested here a number of years ago. It worked out well. I don't know why it was, and I don't care why it was disconnected to some extent, but I thought it was absolutely necessary to move in this direction right now. And frankly, it's not only a scholarship program, it's not something that only advances our research, but it's a faculty development program as well, because for a number of faculty members in the arts, the humanities, and the social sciences, a grant like this makes the difference between disseminating the work, finishing the book, or creating some kind of recording, or having another paper that they need for promotion. And I think, it's absolutely necessary for both, for assistant professors and associate professors in these areas to reach the next promotion level. 1 week later, and by the way, this program will be an annual program. It's not one and out. Right? We'll make sure that this becomes an annual program. Now, is it every 1 year, every 18 months? We'll figure out the details. Depending on how much demand there is, how many proposals will come in as well. 1 week later, there was a call for letters of intent to create 5 university-level institutes. The idea there and the need there is to bring multidisciplinary teams together, break some of the barriers between departments and colleges. So that's why you're putting it at the university level, and give them the resources to bring in big center grants. That this is what we are missing in the STEM fields, in the health sciences. It's the $5 and $10 million grants that we are missing in order to be able to move up one step among the research universities. The letters of intent there is very important, because based on the letters of intent, the Vice President for Research and both myself and the Provost are involved as well to some extent. We want to look where the strengths are and want to look whether people that they're in the same areas collaborate or not. It will be an opportunity to talk to the people who put together letters of intent in similar areas and say, do you know each other? Do you work together? Because if you come together, you will have a much better probability to be funded from that program instead of standing separately. And at the end, the final decision of who these 5 are going to be will also be depending on an external group that we will bring in order to have no biases. Here, I want this to be built from the bottom up, and I want also to be built based on strengths that we have and not based on some preferences that either me or Julius or Donna may have. You also saw a couple of weeks ago, we made our presentation to the state for next year's budget. These are our requests to the state. There was a special meeting of the Board of Trustees, and both I and the chair of the board signed this document, and it declares what our priorities are. So if you read the news story that came out in the state the day after, what USC is proposing this year is, first of all, we are asking for 30 million in recurring funds to mitigate the inflationary pressures that we face and allow us to keep tuition constant. And the state had it right when it said that, USC does not want to raise tuition, and it's up to the legislators now to see if they will be able to support our proposal. And then the capital programs that we are asking for are classrooms and labs, instructional and research labs as well, because this is where the need is in this area. One other program that is right now is in the making is a preparation for a bridge to faculty program. And those of you who were in the provost retreat, which was at the beginning of the academic year, heard me talking about it. This is in essence an effort between the Office of the Provost and the Office of Diversity, Equity and Inclusion to create an avenue and a path for us to be able to diversify the faculty. Being able to get early on some excellent scholars that they are underrepresented in their fields and in their areas here and try to get them as postdocs and then help them bridge into the faculty. The details are getting worked right now. I don't want to go ahead of everything. Their work between the office and DEI, and we will have a call there to see who is ready, which departments are ready, and which departments want to participate in this program and get new faculty positions. These are going to be new faculty positions that they are going to be fully funded from the center, and we will negotiate with the deans issues related to startup and all of the other money stuff that you don't care that much about, but they're important as we set up a program like this. One last thing that for me is a priority, and I would like to talk about for a couple of minutes with you. I also want to work together, and we started having this discussion with the chair of the Senate in an effort to strengthen the faculty governance here, creating a much closer relationship between the administration and the Senate, which, by the way, for me, this is the body, that's the most important body of faculty governance, because this is the body that has the authority to make governance decisions other than anybody else. So what we have been discussing with the chair is the creation of a new committee, whether this is called the Senate Advisory Committee, the Senate Executive Committee, whatever name you want to give it, that will meet regularly. And when I say regularly, I mean every month. We'll meet regularly for a period of time with me and the provost, as well as any vice presidents that they may be needed on a specific issue, and talk about anything and everything, all the current issues that either the committee brings to us or issues that we bring to the committee. The only recommendation that I had about this, or how big is this going to be, this committee is going to be, who is going to be on it, and so on. The only recommendation, the only request that I had was that every college is represented in this committee. So you don't give any college out of it, and then the rest of it is up to you. You decide how you will represent yourselves in that committee. This is a model that worked well for me as a chancellor at Chicago. It built a very strong relationship between the representatives of the Senate and the administration, and it helped us deal with some issues before they become problems. And that's exactly what I'm hoping to see here as well. That doesn't mean that the model that I'm aware and familiar with is going to be the same. It's up to you to design it, but I hope that we will get this thing done fairly quickly and start having these conversations among the representatives of the Senate and the administration. So this is my report for the day. Let me finish by saying that I know there was turmoil here for a period of time. I don't know the details, contrary to the belief of some people that I have talked to. I had a difficult day job, and I didn't have all the time to follow what was happening. And I know that this has been magnified also by the effects of COVID and the fatigue and the problems that everybody across higher education has faced over the last 2.5 years. Put on top of this the issues that existed here with the administration. I know it hasn't been fun. Let's move forward. Let's make this more pleasant. And let's remember that the reason that we are here is for our students and for their success and for serving the state. And this is fun. They can teach us through their optimism and through their dreams and aspirations that they have, that we can move forward and quickly. I'm kind of impatient when it comes to losing time. Let's move together. Thank you. I'll be happy to take your questions.
Thank you. Abbas Tawakul with College of Nursing. I was wondering about the feedback from a student, graduate. I guess you met with undergraduate and graduate. Is there any plan to have this feedback from the whole body to see, validate their concern in the larger body through survey maybe?
Yeah, this is one of the recommendations that we got from the people who facilitated is, once that you know specifically what the issues are, the general issues that the students brought up. Maybe you want to focus more on these, right, and get responses from a bigger percentage of the students, and that's a very good idea, actually. Or some of them, it can be misunderstood also when we're talking about parking. Is the problem the parking, or is the problem the shuttle buses that we have? We have very good shuttle buses. Will they be willing to park a little bit further from campus, open up the space here? Where do we put them? I mean, these are problems that we will have to test continuously and they're not easy problems, but we will have to test as we go through, and we will need feedback. We will need more feedback. Great. Thank you. I apologize. I'm kicked out. It's good to see everybody.
Thank you, President. So I'll turn the floor over to Provost Arnett.
Thank you, Audrey. And I know you have a big agenda today, so thankfully the president took about half of my presentation, so that's good. We'll keep on time. So I am now 2 months into the job, and I have gotten to start to know our community of the University of South Carolina. And when I was here last month, I said that I had started my listening tours. I've now visited 8 different colleges and the libraries. And a month ago when I met with you, is it a month ago? I commented on what a different vibe, someone called it a vibe later, the University of South Carolina faculty have. And I'm happy to report that I've now been through the 8 colleges and the vibe still exists. You guys love the University of South Carolina. You feel it wherever you go. And I just wanted to reiterate that you love being Gamecocks and you love the University of South Carolina, and I'm so honored to be your provost. Now, there's always challenges, and I'm hearing them, so don't think that I see only things through rose-colored glasses. I'm hearing them. I'm continuing the listening tours. They finish on December 2nd. The president goes first. I come in after in the smaller groups. We have no administrators there because we really want to hear from the faculty. I meet in many colleges separately with the staff to see what the issues are and how we can fix them. So we've already had some small wins, like we're figuring out how to put hot water in the College of Education bathrooms. It's just one of them. So we're able to fix a few things. So I'm really delighted about that. So we've had our provost retreat, some other new thing that I've created, and I really, really want to hear from you, is something called a stand-up meeting. This is a meeting I'm doing every 2 weeks with deans, assistant, associate deans, center directors, department chairs, where I'm trying to take information and make sure it's cascading down through the organization. I'm finding that communication internally is not as good as I have experienced in other places, and I just want to make sure that you're hearing directly from us, from the provost office, from other areas in the university, directly things that will affect you. So we probably, as the class and comp study comes out, we'll probably have the head of HR come and tell you exactly what it means. Those are just some examples, but I really want to hear from you. Like, what are the issues that are burning that you really want to know about that the provost or someone in the provost office can answer for you? So that's my call out to you. You heard the president mention Imagine Carolina. We are going to create an Imagine Carolina for graduate students. I've been tasked with that. I will be planning that most likely for January at the beginning of the spring semester. But more importantly to this audience, we are creating an Imagine Carolina for faculty. And that was going to be a half-day retreat. It's going to be done by the same consulting group, Huron. And that purpose of that is to really understand how we as faculty want to build the University of South Carolina to be the university for the future. We want to hear from faculty directly, both professional faculty and regular tenured faculty. What are the issues affecting you? How do we build amazing research programs here at the University of South Carolina? How do we create innovative teaching? How do we care for work-life balance in the context of this post-pandemic world that we live in? And how do we address our own needs in light of also addressing the needs of our students? So these are all things we hope to accomplish in that half day. We're looking to bring in about 150 faculty. We don't really have an upper limit other than space. We'll probably do it in the student center. But if the goal is really to get feedback. We really want this to design our future of working together as a university. So I'm continuing the listening tours, as I said, so I look forward to bringing more of that with you. Some people have asked me, what am I learning? And I've told you I've learned about no hot water in the education building, but I have learned about some more deeper things. I proactively schedule meetings with the Black Faculty Caucus and the Latinx Faculty Caucus. I have not yet met with the Latinx Faculty Caucus, but I have met with the Black Faculty Caucus, and you know, we in South Carolina have an issue, and higher education in general has an issue with recruiting and retaining faculty of color. I'm really concerned about the retention of our underrepresented minority faculty, but also making sure they get promoted and tenured through the pipeline to full professor. So when Provost Tate was here, he had started a program. I don't think it ever got off the ground before he left. So I will be working with the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and with Michelle Bryan in particular, to create a program specifically for underrepresented minority faculty that focuses on what are the barriers here at the University of South Carolina for promotion and tenure. I don't have the details because we are just launching this. I'll be assembling all of the full professors from underrepresented groups over the next month to get feedback on how they were successful and how we can build an appropriate program for our underrepresented minority faculty. There's also some other existing programs I want to highlight. I don't know how many of you got to go to the football game on Thursday night with the hurricane, or I guess tropical storm Ian, shifting it to Thursday evening. But we had our first cohort of the Rising Star Fellowship that were announced that night. And this Rising Star Fellowship is specifically designed to increase diversity in graduate school by recruiting from South Carolina's HBCUs. We just are launching another $600,000 of funding for the Rising Star Fellowship, and we're updating the website. There's no application process yet. It's specific to HBCUs in South Carolina and specific to certain programs that have 4+1 agreements or other kinds of agreements for graduate training. But I wanted to let you know it's on our focus area. Another thing that is a highlight for us is we just got back, thanks to Cheryl Addy, not me, but Cheryl Addy, our Vice Provost and Dean of the Faculty, from the Emerging Scholars Workshop that was held at the University of Missouri. And this workshop is for emerging scholars in the SEC. It provides professional development and networking opportunities for underrepresented doctoral and postdoctoral students. So we were delighted to have 5 students attend that. So finally, I just wanted to update you on dean searches. It's been a big part of my job. And I want to also let you know how I've changed the process of dean searches from how they've historically been done. So instead of having just one chair of the search committee, I have now appointed co-chairs of the search committee. The co-chair is being nominated from your Council on Academic Diversity Officers. So the College of Education did not have a co-chair because that search started before me, but all of the others do. So that is to make sure that we have attention to diversity in our selection of candidates for the dean's positions. I'm happy to announce the College of Education dean search wrapped up this week. So in addition to having a co-chair, I meet with the search committee and I ask each one of them the strengths and limitations of every candidate that comes through the campus. I read through all of the reports that are submitted online, and then I go and meet with the academic leadership of the college because I want to hear directly from the academic leadership any concerns that they may have over any candidate. And then I ask them to tell me who they want as their dean. So in the case of education, I had 100% unanimous vote from every member of that leadership team for Tommy Hodges. So I was very happy to appoint Tommy Hodges into that role. Darla Moore School of Business, that search has begun. It's being co-chaired by Dr. Hajharari and Dr. Torres McGee. The search committee members have been, the timeline has been done. The position statement is out. I believe that actually the position is open now for applicants. We expect to have our first candidates before December on campus. The College of Hospitality, Restaurant, and Sports Management has begun. It started in late September, and there's a search website if you're interested in that. The graduate school, the positions opportunity search committee members have been named, and it will be added in terms of timeline in the coming weeks. We are moving forward with an internal search for the College of Social Work. This is one of my listening tours. The College of Social Work has requested to do an internal search for their next dean. And so I'm adhering to what their wishes are, and that's how we'll go forward. So that summarizes all my dean searches, and I'm happy to take any questions that you may have about anything I've talked about. And if you have ideas about the stand-up meetings, what you want to hear about, happy to hear about that too.
Provost Arnett, thank you for the report, inspiring. Concerning the issue of Black faculty and their membership and their career progression, I would like to remind you, in case this didn't already come up, that the BFSA produced a report called Ivory Tower Glass Ceilings at U of SC, in which they detailed the career progression of Black faculty in particular, and even more particularly, how they seem to be underrepresented in the administrative positions at high leadership positions. I understand this report was presented to the Faculty Welfare Committee in 2020, and I just wanted to remind you of the existence of this report in case it didn't come up.
It hasn't come up. I'd be delighted to see it, and if you have hopefully recommendations in that, I'd love to see them.
One of the recommendations, if I may follow up, was precisely to do continuous training of search committees, and I am glad to see that you addressed that point in your remarks.
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you very much. I know you have a busy agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Provost Arnett. Before we move on to the next agenda item, do we have results to report?
Uh, 72 ballots were received in-house, 6 were voted online, 77 yes, and 1 ballot was blank.
I think that means that we officially have a new chair-elect, Wayne Alden. Congratulations. I am so happy. All right, so our next agenda item is reports from the faculty committees, and we will skip the Senate Secretary. That comes actually a little bit later. So the first item will be the Committee on Curricula and Courses. Dr. Hawk.
Thank you. The Committee on Curricula and Courses met on September 14th and discussed a number of proposals that had been submitted to us. And so as a result, the committee would like to move to approve 35 proposals, 10 from the College of Arts and Sciences, 4 from the College of Engineering and Computing, 6 from the College of Information and Communication, 8 from the School of Public Health, and also 7 proposals from the Experiential Learning Committee for ELO designation.
Chairman, Madam Chair.
I was about to say, since this motion comes from a standing committee, it doesn't require a motion or a second. So we're ready for discussion.
I have objection for the approval of the ISCI 340 Cybersecurity and Information Systems course.
Can you please say your name?
Apologies. I'm Senator Neshat Hikmet from the College of Engineering and Computing, Department of Integrated Information Technology. And there's serious concerns about this course, and the reasons are multiple. I'd like to draw attention that the University of South Carolina is a designated cybersecurity excellence center, and the designation is anchored at the College of Engineering and Computing, especially in the Computer Science and Engineering department, where several cybersecurity courses are taught over 8, and 3 of those courses is in Integrated Information Technology department, where we have seen major overlaps with this course with 3 courses in the IIT. I take, namely, I take 293, Cybersecurity Operations. I take 445, Advanced Networking, and I take 493, IT Security for Managers. These are major overlaps, but not only that, but further evaluation of the proposal kind of raises a question on the rigor that is expected from a designated Center of Excellence in Cybersecurity. And for that reason, I would like to make an offer to motion to move, unbundle the whole package and vote separately on this matter, than not to hold the other courses in hostage in that one package.
Okay, so we have a motion to unbundle this set of courses and discuss them separately and vote on them separately. Do we have a second? So we vote? Okay, so can we have an oral vote on that? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right. A nay? Okay, thank you. Proceed to discuss. Do we hear from an opposing view now? How do we proceed with discussion? Okay, you can proceed with the discussion.
So basically, what I'd like to discuss is that the course curriculum presented, as I said, lacks rigor, and there's 10 pages of information that I can present, but I would like to invite another senator who's in the College of Engineering in the Computer Science and Engineering department, as well as course lead from the IIT department with the permission of the senators.
Okay, this is the sitting senator, but he's inviting an outside speaker to speak now. Is that correct? Oh, you're sitting senator. I'm sorry. Okay, you're welcome to speak.
Thank you.
Thank you. I am Chela Farkas. I'm from the department. Just go freestyle. So I'm from the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. I am also the point of contact to the National Security Agency and the Department of Homeland Security for the university's designation as a National Academic Center of Excellence in Cybersecurity Defense and Research, as my colleague mentioned. So I would like to support my colleague's objection on this course in respect for all overlapping already existing courses in the computer science and engineering department as well as the Integrated Information Technology Department. Moreover, I would like to point out that the current course syllabus, as it described, it looks like a very vendor-specific course aiming for a vendor-based certification process. Whether the course goes beyond that vendor certification, in particular, Checkpoint certified system administrator, security system administrator, is unclear from the syllabus. The original syllabus contained as a course material the Checkpoint training manual for the certification, CSSA certification. Up in our objection, they did remove from the required course materials this manual that used for the Checkpoint certification process. However, the rest of the syllabus remained the same. Even in the schedule, they still refer to the same chapters in a slightly different format. So I cannot establish whether the course goes beyond this Checkpoint-based certification process or not, and if it does, what's the depth for that? So that's why I would suggest to rescind the proposal, and I don't know if I can start a motion or not, probably not until the other senators do speak, but I would like to reconsider and maybe working together with the proposers on the course format and content. Thank you. And I think that we have some other people who are not senators, so whether they can state their objection.
We need to hear from the other side. If there's an opposing view, I believe we have a senator here.
There is. Elise Lewis, the senator for the School of Information Science. I would ask that the vote be not recounted, but just an overview of that vote when it did happen at curriculum and courses. So correct me if I'm wrong, I was not at that meeting. We had 4 yeses, we had 2 no. We had 1 member that recused themselves and we had 1 that was not present. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right, thank you. A couple of points to counter what my colleagues have said. Cybersecurity is an extremely large area. There is not one department on campus that owns cybersecurity. There is a certificate in the College of Arts and Sciences, which currently exists. It is within our SIP code, Information Science, which is what we are guided under. We've got 2 standing MOUs with Checkpoint and the university. What is taught in that course is the certification, and it looks very different than the curriculum that happens in the other school. There are soft skills that are associated with that. That is the information side of the house. In terms of 201, which I believe was one of the courses that came up, it is restricted to the major. We are opening ours to all students who are interested in getting this skill set, and it does have prerequisites. iTech also has prerequisites. Our course does not have prerequisites. We looked back at the tables of enrollment for CSCE 201 in addition to 293, and the courses have not been taught regularly. With those prerequisites, our course will not have prerequisites. We've been teaching it for the last 2 semesters. The Checkpoint certification is a proctored exam that is part of the final assignment. It is a certification that is well established and recognized among many companies. There is a huge need for cybersecurity. The governor has recognized this. Within the next 10 years, over 6,000 jobs will be available for this. So we have a big gap and surely are not able to fill that gap with just 1 or 2 courses.
They have an opportunity. Any more discussion? That's it.
On the job training, I ask permission to Professor Jorge Benitez to present on our discussion on this topic matter? Who's that non-senator?
All right, non-senators are permitted to speak based on a majority approval by the Senate. So if I hear no objection, I will allow him to speak. You're welcome to speak. Oh, you can object. You object, so now we have to have a vote. We need a majority to permit you to speak. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay, nay, nay. I think the ayes have it. Thank you. You may speak.
Thank you, Chairman. One question before I start. My name is Jorge Crichigno, faculty member from IIT. Before I start, just one question. I have a PowerPoint slide presentation. Is there an option to do that, or I can just read what I have? Okay. I will go through some notes that I have and emphasize what it has been said already. So the College of Engineering and Computing is the core for the national center that we have here in the University of South Carolina. So much of what is being proposed is already done here. We offer courses that are taken by all majors, paid internships, paid research experiences from other colleges, and we have the information to back up that. So there were, in my opinion, and major overlaps, especially with two courses in IIT. And to give an example, the course that we're discussing has 7 student learning outcomes. We compare the 7 learning outcomes with some courses, and there are major overlaps in each outcome. I will give one example. Outcome number 1 of this course: explain and demonstrate how Checkpoint ART81 security management products work and how they protect networks. Now, IIT teach courses in a general way so the student can apply the knowledge to any vendor. We are not we're not picking winners from this for-profit corporation. So because that is the alternative that is being proposed here. And that applied to the 7 outcomes that are listed in the syllabus for this course. Now, if somebody look at the for-profit course that is proposed by Checkpoint and match against the student learning outcomes that is proposed, 6 out of the 7 student learning outcomes of this course that is proposed is coming from this for-profit corporation course. As my colleague pointed out before, Dr. Farkas, we were not able to see the content because it says in the syllabus, the course material, or there are no required textbook for this book. However, in the course schedule, somebody goes and read. A student has to read chapter 1 in the week 2. A student has to read chapter 3 in the next week, or so on. So it was unclear to us. Finally, there are some more information online. For example, in the Checkpoint website, it says that somebody can take this course in 3 days. And I have more comments, but I hope that this is reflecting why we're objecting in this course. Number 1, there is overlap, clear overlap. And number 2, there are other concerns that I just mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you, Jorge. Dr. Jorge. I couldn't pronounce your last name, so thank you. Do we have another counterpoint?
Yes, I'm going to ask the permission for the director to speak, who is not a senator.
completely drawn a blank already on the procedure.
I
So
think we have to call a vote,
we
right?
have to call a vote. So unless there's an objection, is there an objection? All right, so invite the director to speak.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Karen Gavigan, Interim Director of the School of Information Science. So a couple of things. One, that the criticism was that this degree is associated with an industry. Acknowledged it's a $4.4 billion cybersecurity industry based in Israel and California, which gives our students the opportunity for real-time hands-on experiences. I would also push back that our colleagues work with Palo Alto, and there are many industries in the university, ask the business school for one. Secondly, Elise mentioned there's 6,000 jobs in South Carolina. There's close to 1 million nationwide, and that number is growing astronomically. The governor did an executive order, and he is imploring academia, K-12, industry, and other government agencies to work. There was a South Carolina Decoded conference 2 weeks ago. 18 of our students who take this class were able to go. They had pictures taken with the governor. They got to meet with industry leaders. My point in arguing for this class, Amaritis very eloquently said just now that we need to be breaking down barriers between programs. This is a barrier. We've had to go have arguments about this 3 times. It's not helping our students. If we were pulling your students away, I could concede there might be a problem. 1 million jobs, we could have 30 cyber classes on this campus and it wouldn't be enough. So that's my point. I said the bottom line are students. I'm just going to tell you the 26 students who have come through this program, just briefly, so that's 2 classes. One had 5 job offers with Ernst & Young and is now there as a technology consultant. One is a security analyst with the Teneo Group. One completed the Army Cyber Institute at West Point. One is a sales consultant with the Teneo Group. Another is in a cyber institute with a real estate company. As you can see, this is very interdisciplinary, which is what we tout. We have soft skills in addition to this. 2/3 of the cyber industry, and when I heard the statistic, it was staggering. 2/3 of the industry is not the hard computer science that come out of the College of Engineering. That's great. We need those people, but that is only 1/3 of the industry. We're trying to make up the difference and to have our students have these opportunities. One also final comment is that the instructor who teaches it, the implication that it's only Checkpoint content, it is their cloud, their material trained by Checkpoint, but our instructor just won the Instructor of the Year, an international award for teaching this class. Other programs that are doing it, NYU, Harvard, Oxford, so I think we're in very good company. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Director. We have another.
Chair, we have another person who'd like to speak.
Yes.
Excuse me. Hi, I'm Denise McGill from the School of Journalism and Mass Communication.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think we have to alternate. So I think you're in support of what's just being said. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry. So if we have from the opposing side, and then you may speak.
Madam Chair, we have Sheila Farkas again who would like to comment.
It's more of a general comment, and I do agree 100% that we are in dire shortness of trained cybersecurity professionals. So that's absolutely nobody is questioning or objecting that. I think that the biggest problem is the misleading of how the course is presented. The title, for example, we objected that several times. Even after this discussion, it does seem to me that it's a preparation for a Checkpoint certification process. We can talk about the depth and how much beyond it goes from that. but the course is called Cybersecurity and Information Science, which is a much broader context than Checkpoint Certified Cybersecurity Administrator. Thank you.
And I'll invite the senator from the School of Journalism.
Hi, Denise McGill, School of Journalism and Mass Communication. So for the record, I'm persuaded by the School of Information Sciences. It sounds like this has been a conversation that's been ongoing. They have a program that's up and running. It's been approved by the curriculum committee, and I'm satisfied with it. There, again, this is a huge field, and yeah. And I know that there is, reasons to, our current budget model, unfortunately, encourages, turf wars, or, calling your turf. But I would say in this case, it's that this is a worthy cause and worthy reason to have some crossover. Thank you.
I guess my turn again.
Yes, Senator.
So that's not fair. I mean, we're beyond turf wars. We're academicians, and our concern is the quality of the courses offered. Who gets hired for how much? It's not a competition. College of Engineering students way beyond gets hired, so that's not an issue. All our intention is to make sure that it is adhered to the mission of the university. Research One University does not offer, in my belief, cyber checkpoint deployment options. Please read chapter 2 and answer question 2. Checkpoint URL design. Read chapter 7 and answer quiz number 7. This is not how we teach. As Dr. Farkas mentioned, the title of the course that is being presented has nothing to do with the content of the course that is being presented. Otherwise, I mean, why are we here? I'll go with IBM cybersecurity, read chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. Hey, big name, big blue. We cannot go wrong. That's not the reason we're here. We teach what we preach, and we also research what we teach. That's the whole idea, and we encourage the students on the same path. Research One University. Midland Tech can do that for us coming in. And then we can retrain them for the moving forward. I mean, otherwise, turf, come on, turf wars. We are beyond that. We've been discussing that. Everybody has enough work to do. That's my comment.
Thank you, Senator. Any further discussion? Is this in opposition to that position?
Dr. Regan is the department head for the Integrated Information Technology, non-senator.
A non-senator, but also in support of what you're saying. We need to hear from the other side. I'm sorry. But have you gone twice?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so here are the rules of engagement. Everyone gets to speak twice, and we do need to alternate perspectives. Is that correct, Bill? This person is from the College of Engineering, and she is also an outsider, non-senator. But can she speak? But we're not getting the other side. We're not alternating. She's going to speak in support of the engineering view. Is that all right? Okay.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Yes.
I move that we send this back to committee. Mindy Fensky, Department of English.
Is that in order? I need a second. I hear a lot of seconds. Do we open that to discussion? We have a discussion. We are open for discussion on the motion to send this back to committee. Would you like to lead that discussion?
I don't think we have enough information to make this decision. And I think that the idea that the Courses and Curriculum Committee get these parties together in a small group environment to work this out might be more conducive for us making a vote when it comes back to the full House.
Yes. I certainly agree that this is at the charge of the Committee on Curriculum and Courses. I would say that this discussion has been had already. We had a back and forth meeting with representatives from both programs last month, and we've encouraged outside the meeting for them to try to get together and work out the differences in their proposals. So while I appreciate the idea that curriculum and courses would have more information, I have to be honest, I'm not sure what the purpose of sending the proposal back to the committee would be.
Joe Flora from Civil Engineering. I agree with the chairman. Based on the discussions, I think this has been hammered to death, and maybe they're asking us to try to make a decision, because sending it back to committee, I don't think anything will be resolved.
Any other discussion of the motion to return this to committee? All right, let's vote. All in favor of returning this to the committee, say aye. Those opposed? Ooh, show of hands, guys. That was really close. All right. All in favor, please raise your hand and we'll do a count. All in favor of returning it to committee? Okay. 52. 52 to return. We need the nays. You raise your hand if you said nay. Did you get the votes from Sam? Did you get the Pemoto votes? Okay. 38 nay. So I think the motion passes. Correct? Back to the committee.
Thank you.
And thank you for that. Are there any other discussions on the other 34 proposals? Yes. Yes, yeah. So there are.
All right.
Okay.
All right, so we have the remaining of the remaining part of the package. So this has been brought forth by committee, doesn't require a motion or a second. So we're ready to discuss the remainder of the package.
Aaron Dicker, Department of English. I just want to clarify that we need a motion to recouple everything before we can talk about it as a package, because currently it is a bit decoupled. We're talking about it as all separate issues.
I don't believe that was the motion. I think the motion was just to decouple that one course.
Are you sure? Okay, sure.
I didn't shut from it. So we're down on this. Just less the item that was strong.
Any discussion?
This is a comment. My name is Marco Valtorta. I'm a professor of computer science and engineering in the College of Engineering and Computing. I read several of the course proposals, in fact, all of them, and I find somewhat disturbing to read some of the justifications of some of the courses mention of stakeholders and the argument that students might find a course too, quote, academic, end of quote, or technical for understanding what content would be covered. I think we are going down a slippery slope if we emphasize notions of course marketing, possibly using consultants to advise us on what our courses should look like to maximize their appeal to students. The risk is that that would damage the academic, without quotes, content of a course. So I hope that the Curriculum and Courses Committee will observe this kind of justification and possibly, if not censor, discourage this kind of language in an academic document. Thank you.
Thank you for the comment. I will keep that in mind. I think with the courses in question that you're talking about, it was primarily a course title change rather than a change to the content of the course. So to some extent, I mean, the course title, as long as it is correctly describing the content of the course, I would argue is to some extent a marketing exercise, but certainly I would agree that for the course content that would probably not be appropriate.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All right, so I think we're ready to vote. All in favor of passing the curriculum changes? Say aye. All opposed? Great. The course changes pass.
And thank you. We have no further business.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is the Admissions Committee. Do we have a representative of the Admissions Committee here? Thank you. Here we have Scott Frizzell.
Thank you, Dr. Korsgaard. I'm Scott Brazile, Vice President for Enrollment Management, Dean of Undergraduate Admissions, and I serve as ex officio Secretary to the Faculty Senate Committee on Admissions. Committee Chairman Nathan Huon cannot be here today, so I'm here to offer the report for the committee. There are two items that the committee approved and I'm putting forward to the full Senate for consideration. The first item is a change to admissions policy to revise our policy on criminal and behavioral infractions for students who are applying to the Carolina Online program. We no longer have the Carolina Online program. That program no longer exists as an organizational structure. And so the change is to remove language related to the term Carolina Online and revert to the original policy that applies to all students. So you have that document before you. It's just really just cleaning up the language in the policy to revert back to the original policy that applies to all students. We still do have South Carolina online programs, and the policy that is in place would apply to that program as well. So that's the first proposal.
Since it's coming from a standing committee, it doesn't need a motion or second, so we're ready to discuss. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? It passes.
Thank you. The second policy change is similar. Again, it's related to the language around Carolina Online, a structure that does not exist any longer. It removes parallel admissions policies related to Carolina Online programs only and reverts back to this main admission policy to apply for any students applying, whether they're applying to online programs or not.
Again, we don't need a second, so the floor is open to discussion. All right, all in favor? Opposed? Great, the proposal passes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, our next item on the agenda is a report from the Secretary, Secretary Bickle.
Okay, we have a member to elect to the CNC, and that is Darren Freeberg. So just all in favor? Yes. All in favor of electing Darren to this important committee? Say aye. Anyone object? You were afraid you'd be elected to it. Okay. Darren, you're on the committee. Heaven help you. Okay, then sorry. It's actually a wonderful committee. I've been on it. It really is. Who put the mic on? Okay, then we have 2 vacancies, and these really are good committees. Well, one is INDEV. And if you're not familiar with INDEV, that is, it used to be where online courses go. Now it's about structurally helping with curriculum. And so they need one person. So if you or you know of someone who needs some service work, please place their name forward. You can send them to Audrey, or you can send them to me, or you can send them to Bill. This is one that I think anybody would be interested in, and that's the vacancy on the budget committee. Money is always interesting, I think. So those 2 people, please reach out, touch someone, you know, forward their names. If you nominate somebody, please ask them in advance. Oh, excuse me, don't go anywhere.
We have one more candidate.
One more election for the fun committee for athletics. Mike Worth. All in favor of Mike being on this committee, say aye, please. Anybody opposed? Hit Mike up for some tickets.
Thank you very much, Secretary Bickle. All right, so all that's left is a quick report from me. We are not done with asking for volunteers. First is, as the president conveyed, we have this new committee. I've described that before. He doesn't know this yet, I guess, but we're calling it the President's Executive Committee. We have a number of representatives. As you know, we have one representative from every school, so I think it's approximately 19, including our schools of medicine and Palmetto College. And we now have elected representatives for libraries. The Dartmouth School of Business, Nursing, Arnold School of Public Health. We have candidates that need to be elected. I'll be sending you their names. There's a couple of schools with multiple candidates. That includes College of Arts and Sciences, HRSM, and Engineering. We have a candidate elected for Palmetto College. I think I have someone in the works for the School of Medicine in Greenville, but we're kind of coming up dry for the remaining schools. So I'm asking you, senators from these schools, to see if you can think of someone, or if you yourself want to step up. And of course, also consider members of, particularly chairs of standing committees, important standing committees, even if they're not senators, they're important contributors to what's happening here. So that would be School of Education, College of Information Communication, Law, Medicine, Columbia, Music, Pharmacy, and Social Work. So I'm speaking to you guys who are the senators for those particular committees, if you can come up with some volunteers. We also have a search, as you know, going on for the School of Social Work, and I've been asked by Mary Alexander to bring a name forward from the Senate. So if anyone wants to volunteer to be on that search committee, I deeply appreciate it. You don't have to be a member of the School of Social Work, but you could be a member of the School of Social Work. So you guys in social work, 2 volunteers. And I have an announcement to pass on from the textbook committee that couldn't be here today. All faculty are invited to a free lunch and conversation with bookstore management at the textbook luncheon next Tuesday, October 11th at 12 noon at the Russell House Ballroom. So that's Tuesday, free lunch, but you do have to talk to the textbook people. It's not quite as bad as going to like a timeshare talk, but you know, just kidding. And also just to remind you, textbook adoptions for spring 2023 are due on Monday, October 24th. So please make sure you're up to date on that. And that I really have nothing else to report than that. I know we had a kind of a longish meeting, so I think I'll end it there. So, got a hand raised, yes? Did I say noon? For lunch. Free lunch is at noon. The traditional noon, the traditional lunchtime. All right, so I think we're about ready to adjourn. Can I have a motion? Second? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you so much for your service and patience.